ever consider what neuroscience could do in helping you raise a confident kid? Well, I have Dr. Rob Kelly here with me today, who is the absolute expert on the field. Dr. Rob, tell everybody who you are and what you do, please. Yay!
Thanks, Francine. Hey, guys, my name's Dr. Rob Kelly over in San Antonio, Texas. But as you can tell by my accent, I'm not from Texas. I'm from a little old place called Manchester, England. I've been in America for 20 years, and we specialize in neuroscience, the mind, the behavioral problems, anything from anxiety to addictions, alcoholism to, doing better as a father or a mother. Because I lost my children when they were ages 1 and 3, and never contacted them again from 30 years later. So, we found out about the neuroscience, the learned behavior and enmeshment from parents into children, and how everything that the child does today, whether they be 3 years old or 30 years old, is a direct link to what happened in the house. Not necessarily parents, but caregivers and teachers, and how we can change that.
Well, that's absolute true. Anybody who's listening to this podcast knows that my key moment in life was 8 years old when my aunt said, "You'd be such a pretty girl if you just lost some weight." And that set me down that spiral of unhealthy eating and dieting and, well, almost killing myself. So I love that you really drill in on what childhood programming does to kids and how we could prevent those negative programs.
When we talk about childhood trauma, most people think it's a car crash or a divorce or accident. And what I've researched on neuroscience, and we spent almost $2 million on research pertaining to behavioral and psychological damage that's done as we grow up in the house, is they plant seeds. You'd be so much pray only if you, and that end saying, the end couple of lines, it is what defines us going on. So it doesn't matter how we look. What's planted in the subconscious brain is that you need to lose weight. So children grow up with the attitude that they're never going to be tall enough, blonde enough, thin enough, or rich enough. It's like no matter what we do, there's always a defect there. And by education, parents and caregivers and teachers, I want to just say that this is nobody's fault. I just want to put that out there because there's no big bucks that come with raising a child. Oh, I failed you. No, you didn't. You did what you thought was right. Even in addiction, if you've banned it, you thought what was right, or you was deranged, or your mind wasn't working properly and the brain was defect, is what happened. But everybody has a chance today, new parents and old parents, to change behavior and to change thought patterns. As a toddler running around the kitchen, for instance, if mum says to child, "Don't touch that stove, it's hot and it burns you," and we touch it because we're kids and it burns us, the biggest thing we learn there as a child is whatever mum tells us is true. That's it. So let's switch that scenario to her, getting a bit older, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9. Dad comes home 2 or 3 times a week after being to the bar. He's drunk. Mum and him gets into a fist fight 2 or 3 times a week. She sees this going on. And the next morning they get up, and what does dad say? "I'm so sorry." And she said, "Oh, I love you. Don't worry, hubby. I love you." And the child's watching this. And then what the child grows up to believe is violence equals love. So it's these small things that we see in their house that define our thoughts and our personalities and our behavior going forward.
Wow, you just hit it right on the head. I remember watching my mom say, "Well, I'm stuck. There's nothing I can do. I can't, this is all I've got."
Mm.
And regardless of where we were in our lives, she always felt like that was the best she could get, the best she could
Yeah.
do. And I grew up with that too, even when I got out of the military, and I stayed with the military for 33 years because I said, "Wow, this is just a great thing. It's the best I could do. It's security. I'm making a good paycheck." And then when I retired and I started my entrepreneurship journey, then I kept getting these negative programs from childhood saying, "Well, I'm going to keep driving my old car, even though it's breaking down, because it's the best I could do right now. And I am going to stick with these clients who aren't really ready to be with me because, well, it's the best that I could do right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to break that negative program cycle to
Mm.
move beyond what my mom programmed in my head. So
Yeah. And
how would
I,
you how would you explain to parents how to see the signs and how to start breaking these cycles?
so everything from parents to children is passed down. It's called enmeshment, um, and learned behavior from parents. So we wanted to prove this was right with all sorts of stuff that we come across. We got 1,000 fleas in a mason jar, a huge big mason jar, and we screwed the cap on and we punched holes in the top and we left them for 3 days. Now fleas can jump 3, 4, 5 foot in the air, as we know. After 3 days, we unscrewed the cap and we put the cap away somewhere. Not one flea would jump higher than where the cap was, which we're kind of expecting that. But we left them in there. And then when they had babies inside the jar, the babies wouldn't jump higher than where the cap was, and they'd never even seen the cap. So we do what our parents, if we can achieve what our parents do, then we max out at that. Where parents are on this thin line. If I push them too much, they'll resent me. If I don't push them enough, they'll resent me. Um, and we always want to do as good as our parents. But I think the idea is the more we get talking over the last 20 years about this, is parents want us to do better. And I think that's where it lies, the communication, the teaching, and stuff like that. If you're allowing your child to come home from school at 3, 4 o'clock and go gaming upstairs until 9 p.m. at night time, first of all, I'll show you a future addict. And secondly, you're distorting the mind. There's nothing there, is not going to grow up the same. So nurturing is the number one thing that we talk about. Um, I'm busy. We both have what jobs. Yeah, we know that. Most people today have to have man and woman working to afford a mortgage or rent. But when you get home, when you get the quality time, when you get time to nurture, most people don't because they're tired. Again, nobody's fault here. They're tired. Um, and then what happens is they get neglected. And now, listen, this saying might seem harsh, but it's true with 30 years experience in the industry is anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse. Think about that real hard before you shout at the screen. What does he know? It's so true. For my part of my behavioral science PhD, my professor sent me to the zoo for a year to watch the primates through the wind, the freezing, the snow. I hated that guy for that, but we learned so much there of the nurturing and stuff. So whenever you get a choice with children, one must be nurturing and taking care and being there and listening and directing and realize that everything you do, the child will do. Monkey see, monkey do. So if you're not keeping yourself to a certain standard or routines and stuff, that the child will follow that. So if you have no dreams and aspirations, like most of my people in my family didn't, again, no fault, then I was supposed to follow rank. I was supposed to get married early, have a child out of wedlock, then get married, have a job at the factory around the corner, Friday night drink with the rest of the guys and go home. That was it for me. All my family's done that. And I wanted different. Now, growing up an alcoholic or addict, I still ruined my children's life because of my drinking. Um, I had to go into treatment centers, and eventually my wife left with her 2 children. But we get chance to make it up in the future. And I think the idea of normal parenting, uh, I don't believe in normal parenting because there isn't a normal parenting. Every child is different. Every parent is different. Every circumstances are different. And we must try to work out a relationship with our child. One of the things I hate, Francine, is, oh, we're like sisters, we're like best friends. No, you're the parent. Parent the child. You're not best friends. You're not sisters and twins. No, you're parent. Okay. Stop letting your kid come home and game all night and stuff like that. Have rules and regulations in the house that'll bode them well for future life.
One thing you said before that really just planted in my brain, and I have to talk about it. You said, parents, don't get mad at me for saying this. Well, in my mind, if a parent got mad at you for saying that, I hope they stuck around to listen to more because if it struck a nerve in them, they're seeing something of themselves in what you said. So, can you address that?
I mean, they're harsh words, but they're true. I mean, it's very, the more we get into behavioral science, so neuroscience and behavioral science holds the key to our life or the future and what we know today pertaining to any kind of psych behavior or learned behavior that we do. So it's very important that we realize that nurturing is number one. Again, you might have jobs, two jobs, three jobs. I know, but every time you spend with your child should be precious and nurturing. If a child is told, like I was, that don't be so stupid, Robert, you can't go to college, you're too stupid. Nobody's been to college in your family. That would be just ridiculous. Then that's what I'm going to believe. Whatever somebody tells you on a regular basis, especially growing up, you believe as a child. So the part of the brain is called the basal ganglia that it's how repetition strengthen confirms. So if I tell you a lie now, you might believe it, you might not. If I tell you a lie often enough, you're going to believe it. But guess what? If I tell you a lie real often enough, I'm going to believe the lie. So what we tell our children, this time we spent with our children is very, very important. Sometimes it's a matter of life and death. If we place them in a situation, we allow them to get away with stuff at home. It's like everybody's busy. I know that, guys. But it's important that you give your child the best chance going forward. And this is regardless if you're growing up on the projects like me or you're growing up in $1 million house. I've seen more trauma in $20 million houses, Francine, than I have on the projects. Just because money does not, void you away from not raising the child properly. It's to the contrary. Um, so we have to look at these facts and figures and realize that during that prime time is when you really have to nurture and stick with the nurturing. And you're not going to get any thanks for it, parents. You're not going to get any attaboys for it. But what you'll get is a child making a sensible decision at the right time that'll either take him down this way or this way. And then you'll start to realize that you had a huge impact. Most men want to be like the dad. Most women, most girls with mom, but with dad, sorry, but they want to be like mom. So raise them standards just a little bit. Food etiquette, knives and fork. I don't care what it is. Just make them aware of something that they don't know, and the change will be amazing.
And if your teenager hates you, you're doing something right.
Something good.
Yes,
Yes, it's like, she just said she hates me. Let me guess, is she 14? How did you know? We're supposed to be hated at 14.
right.
It's all good.
But the problem lies in the parent who is a people pleaser.
Oh,
And all they want to do is please the kid. Oh my God, my daughter hates me. So then they overcompensate
yeah.
to please the child, which is the worst thing a parent could do.
Yeah, and again, that's just natural behavior. It's like there has to be limits on everything that we do. But yeah, I did this. Do you know something? Uh, so 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, my daughter got in contact with me. The last time she saw me, I was homeless, begging on the streets. Uh, Now she gets older than me. I have companies worth multi-million dollars. I have four companies. So what's the first thing I did when we get in touch and we're all great? I bought her a house and then I bought her a car. That was 5 or 6 years ago. And my friend come on and went, that's not the way to win her back, Rob. You have to learn, even at the age of 36 or whatever she was, uh, to that you can't just keep providing. Because that's what I did all my life. I provided. When I was in active alcoholism, I had my business, I had an amazing job. I was earning lots of money, and I would buy stuff for them. But I built a playhouse on the back of the house just for them, two little girls to play in. What they didn't know is I built it so I could drink at night in the afternoon while they were playing in there. I had brand new cars that I would drive them to school in because I wanted everybody at school, including their teachers, to realize that Charlotte's father is very wealthy and he's made it. And look at him, he's amazing. And during talks over the last 4 years with my daughter, she said to me something that floored me one day. He said, "Remember when did?" I said, "Yeah, that was a brand new Mercedes, Charlie, top of the class Mercedes." And she looked at me and said, "Dad, I didn't care about all that stuff. I just wanted you to say hi and spend some time with me." Oops. That still gets me. Um, so again, money can't buy love. Time and nurturing buys everything that the child needs. You
And
just have.
It doesn't even take a lot. Just sitting there together and reading a story for 10 minutes a night.
That's it. The story, nurturing, I know for a fact that I could go to my mom for anything. My dad was very quiet, never said a word. But my mom, if I murdered somebody, went home, she'd cover for me. It was that kind of relationship. Mom, I did this, I did something stupid. And a biggest rule growing up with the children is never bring the police to our doorstep. That was the big thing for the family. And I brought the police to our doorstep on several occasions. So, but yeah, it's relationships are complicated if you let them be complicated, but it's simple. Like during my drinking, used to go upstairs with my two girls and read them a bedtime story. Now, they still remember that today. They didn't realize I was drunk and wasted, but they realized that I took the time for 20 minutes a night, sat on their beds reading them a story. And you can show that the confidence from that reflects in their daily life to even today, all them years on.
And I love hearing that, of course, because I'm a children's author. Read to your kids, it's
Yeah.
important, which is why I write the books.
Probably one of the most important things you're going to do at that age is reading them a book, get them into literature. Like your job is amazing what you do because I don't know what your mindset around is, but you write these beautiful books, and kids get to read them. But then we dig deeper into the psychology behind that, and
I never told you this, but I wrote an adult self-help book, and I listened to feedback from my audiences when I was out speaking about them, and they said the young kids need to hear this. So
mm,
my children's books are snippets from my adult self-help, the six-step process of personal change. And I
wow,
just break it down so the kids could understand it and enjoy the stories.
I love that planting seeds in children. From adult conversations or stories, it's amazing. It's we're all on development growth, even at the age of I'm 65 now. I take really good care of myself. I'm the best condition of my life. Um, I can do anything I want to do. And that basically comes back to my mum telling me that years ago, like when I was growing up. And it was only like 10% of her whole life. The rest was you can't do it. It's so stupid. You're reaching beyond. She always scared of me getting hurt. So she didn't want me to think here. She'd rather me think here and stay safe. God bless her for doing that. But yeah, it's just children have to realize as they get into teenagers that um, everything is for the taking. I mean, it really is, but you have to have a foundation of love, parents around you. So if you're growing up one parent family for whatever reason, it's tough. It really is tough. So the more nurturing you can give, the better. Now, does nurturing mean let them do anything they want to do? No, there has to be rules and regulations. Because when they leave the nice, comfortable, do anything you want to do inside this house, and they get into harsh reality at school, once the mind starts to settle down and make sure it's whole about 23, 20, 22, 23 years old, then the world is open to anything you want to do. Because I say this all of the time. I would hate anybody to get to the age of 80 or 90, look back in their lives and realize two crucial things. Number one, nobody was watching you. And number two, you really could have done anything you wanted to do. And I think that thought pattern and behavior comes from nurturing as a child.
What's really funny in what you're saying is when I decided I wanted to join the Navy, I had my father telling me, you'll never make it through boot camp. And my mom telling me, you're so clumsy, you'll shoot your foot off. But I didn't listen to this negative talk. I decided, well, dad said girls don't need to go to college. Well, I wanted to do something. I didn't want to be in a dead end job for the rest of my life. So I said, this is my opportunity, and I don't care what they
Mm,
said, I'm going to prove them wrong.
mm,
So if you put your child in a position where they're going to want to prove you wrong, make sure that it's something positive and
mm.
growth
You don't want to
enhancing.
set the sights too high, but it's just negative thinking from their parents. That's all it is. They stayed safe. They made sure that, but yeah, it's really important that we want the best for our children. And again, the first time when I start speaking about responsibilities as a child, a parent, or teacher, they want to start saying, "Well, it's not my fault." No, 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 no. It's definitely not your fault. No one's blaming anybody here. Even if you had all the rules and regulations in front of you, there's a thing called life out there, and it gets in the way. and time is flying by all of the time. So I think when we sit down, we have a family systems program here. When we sit everybody down, that's the first thing we say. There's no fault in this room. I don't care what dad's drinking himself to death or he's caused this or she's not going to. There's no fault here. We need to restructure the family and the family thinking, and the nurturing and everything else will start falling into place. Even if your child is 40 years old, it's never too late. You know, I was I was about 45 when I came to America, and I had a partner, and I split with my partner 10 years ago, and I left everything to her. I left the houses, the cars, the ranches, the money. I left $1 million in the bank. I left that relationship with $200 in my pocket 11 years ago. I met my wife today, and we started 11 years ago, and we build empire. So it's never too late. It really isn't. I hate it when people put time frames on our lives, like, well, you're too old to do this. Says who? This is what I was told 3 years ago. So I have always, as a British man, wanted to go into a British restaurant in Texas or Irish pub and to meet one Irish person or one English person in them places and make me a British sandwich. And nobody can. They get a burger, they stick a flag in it and call it a London burger. So I decided 3 or 4 years ago to open a full-blown English restaurant next to my offices, serving all English food. People thought I was insane. My financial guys were like, "This is the biggest mistake you're ever going to make. You're going to stick like $250,000 in this place. You've lost it already." It was 4 years ago. We're in the top 12% of performing restaurants in San Antonio. But if I would have listened to those, but I questioned it, and the answer was, says who? Well, my mom and dad always says who? Is that right though? I mean, are you happy living the way you're living, or do you want to change your life? Are you happy the way you've grown up and you want better for your children? These are the questions that are great to ask yourselves. Is of course we do. So, very quick story about children growing up and what they believe. We went into a primary school many years ago, just after I got out of college. My friend was the headmaster private school, and the children were something from like 7 to 12. And we asked them, "Can we come in and test your children? We have this exam, this test, and basically what it does, it reveals the top three students in your school." And he said, "Well, that's impossible." And I said, "No, we're psychologists. We just want to try it." And because it's you, Rob, okay, we'll try it. So we spoke to the board and everyone agreed. And we went down and we handed the test out. It's about 20, 30 kids, 20 minutes. It's all filled in, just general questions. We went back and we'll say, "We'll be back tomorrow with our top three." So we went back. Remember, true story, guys. We went back and we said, "Here's your top three. You have Jimmy, Bill, and I can't remember the name." And he's like, "Billy? Are you sure? Bill, Billy Johnson?" "Yep, Billy Johnson." "Oh, wow, that surprised us." And then there's Tony. "Tony, oh, all right." And Julie. "Wow, I'm not sure about this, Rob." "Well, we'll be back in a year's time. Please don't contact me. We'll see how it goes." So when we pulled up in a year's time, we'd made all the phone calls. We were there at 12 o'clock. And when we got there, uh, not only were all the staff and the board were outside, but the parents were outside as well. And we got off, and the headmaster run up. He said, "Rob, how did you do it?" And I says, "Do what? How did you do it, man? We need to call the government now. We need to get that test into the government because this is unbelievable." And we took them inside, no parents, just the board. And we sat down and said, "Here's how we did it. We come to your school with the test papers. Everyone filled them in. On the way home, we actually ditched them in the trash. We threw them away. And we got home and we picked three random people out of your school, three random kids. And then we come back the next day and we told you that they were geniuses and they were going to be captains of industry and stuff." And he said, "I don't get it." So I said, "Well, we chose the three random kids and we told you that they were going to be geniuses. And because you treated them as such, so they become." True story.
Wow, I just got the chills on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So what you tell your children you can do, they will become. But you've got to, convince yourself and then them that there are things that open up to the world. There's no limits. Everyone's putting limits on stuff. It's like there's no limits here, guys, or girls who are growing up wanting to do, pilot or an astronaut. There's no limits. There really isn't.
Oh, I was an aircraft electrician for the
Right?
military.
Wow.
So, yeah, there are no limits. And I'm not even an athletic person.
Huh.
So, There is no limit. And trust me, whatever you tell yourself, whether it's
Mm.
positive or negative, your brain believes it. So you might
Yeah.
as well just tell it the good stuff.
The brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and the false, guys. It can't tell reality to fake. It just can't. So whatever you feed it, it will run with. So if you convince yourself or keep saying enough that I'm going to do this or I'm going to get that job or it'll happen because the brain's just following your internal dialogue and suggestions. Now, add that with the way you're brought up and the belief system that you have from the family system, and you will become that person. There was something in your life, Francine, when somebody said to you, "You can do this. You'll be amazing at this," even if it was a remark that the conscious brain didn't pick up, like a conversation at night time that you heard from mum and dad as you was going. Whatever it was planted that halfly convinced you that you can go and do anything you want, and so you did, and that's the way the brain works.
I remember that during the run. I don't think I can, but I know I can. I don't think I can, but I know I can. And one time I really couldn't. I had an asthma attack, and somebody, I don't even know who it was, grabbed the name tag off my shirt and put it on his shirt and crossed the finish line. So even though I physically couldn't do it, I still passed the test.
Oh, wow, that's
Because I
awesome.
just put it in my head somehow I'm
Yeah.
going to stay in the Army.
Nice. I love it.
And parents, you could do it too, and you could help your kids do that.
100%. Once you start to believe that, guys, it'll happen. It really will. But
It's
just
all a matter of what you believe.
correct. Yeah. And that's been backed by quantum physics, quantum science, for many, many years. It's like what we believe we will become, but it's what you believe in. What's been planted at an early day. You know, what's my belief system of what I can achieve in life, and you will achieve it.
Well, on that note, how could people get in touch with you or get more of your world?
So if you're listening, not watching, you'll notice if you're watching, I spell my name with two B's, ROBBKELOY.com is the website. Jump on there. You'll see we have a software on there. The company's called breathbox.studio. It's one of my companies. It's done online. It changes pathways. It changes the brain completely from negative to positive. Jump on there, hit all our socials. And there's a great book out there called Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking, which the last thing I said to my daughter, uh, go and have a look at it on Amazon and then don't buy it. We got 10 copies right here to give away. So contact myself or Francine. I'll sign it personally to you. I'll pay for all the post and everything. Everything's free. And when you get it, have a great read and then pass it on to somebody else free of charge who you think deserves to read it.
That is an amazing offer. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I am so glad I met you because this conversation was absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And with that, that's our episode of Parents Talk, and I will see you next time.